Everybody, welcome to Steve Couper's podcast for aspiring real estate investors and accredited non and industry subject matter experts. In each episode, I try to bring on a guest that's going to add value to all of you out there and highlight and showcase what she's got going on. So today, I'm super excited. So Judith Tait is an AI strategy and governance advisor who helps organizations adopt artificial intelligence responsibly, strategically, and with clear operational impact. She works along with leadership teams to develop AI strategies, governance framework, which I think is imperative, and implementation roadmaps that drive efficiency, manage risk, and create competitive advantages. Now, there's a lot more to it. But what I'd like to add here is Judith is also director on the board of the Whitby Chamber of Commerce, and she's a TV show host with Rogers TV Durham, and a speaker who's passionate about helping organizations and investors in AI or use AI in practical, ethical, and results-driven ways. Most importantly, she's also a real estate investor, so she knows our language, she knows what we're talking about. I'm excited. Judith, welcome to the show. Please help correct everything I said properly there, and let's get on. Talk about yourself. Let's hear what you're doing.
Yeah, no, I think yeah, you pretty much nailed it. No, yeah, that was great. Thank you. Yeah, so as you mentioned, I do a lot of stuff, but yeah, AI is it's my thing. I just absolutely love it. And we were talking earlier, and I was saying with AI, there is just so much to know. Like you probably know more than the next person. I went to sorry, what was that?
I say that's a scary thought.
No, like I've been studying it for a long time and I thought I knew a lot, like not everything, but I thought I knew a lot until I went to a forum a couple of weeks ago, put on by it was Ontario Tech University, and the speakers they had, I was just like mind blown. I thought, oh my gosh, now there's more stuff to learn and research. But yeah, anyways, I entered the AI space probably about a year ago, and it was actually because of real estate investing. I started a real estate investing podcast, and I needed something to help me just produce the podcast because excuse me, I'm more of a in front of the camera person, not so much behind the scenes. Because, as you mentioned, like I have a TV show, I just show up and, I've got my production team that takes care of everything. So when I started doing this podcast, I was like, oh my gosh, like this is painful trying to produce the whole thing, right? So I need something to help. And I discovered AI, and then I was like, what is this AI? And then I just started doing a lot of research in it. And then I realized like how much it can help you just manage your business, like any business, not just real estate. It can help you manage your business, run your business. It can automate like everything, you name it. But of course, you need like the human in the loop, which, depending on where the conversation goes, we can talk about that as well. But yeah, so that's how I started down the AI path.
Yeah, it's this is great. I mean, AI in essence has been around for decades, but it's really become
Yes.
something front and center for us all now, right? I think uh, I think as we look at it, a lot of us have been exploring various chats and trying to see how the chat GPT can help us maybe create a document or do a little bit of analytical work. But there have been what do they call it? Hallucinations that have
Yeah.
tripped a few people up. So people are learning, I think, what you can trust and what you can't, but it's evolving, right? And I think that, like you mentioned, now it's able to actually perform work for you that
Yeah.
can be a real game changer in the business. Let's talk
Yeah.
about that some more. Let's hear your thoughts on how it's evolving.
So it's evolving just in the tools that we use every day, like ChatGPT. I think it started out as like, I don't know, 2.5, and now it's up to I don't even know, like 5.0, or I don't even know what it's up to right now. It's just like, oh, there's a new update. Okay, let's see what this is about. And then I kind of evaluate it to see, I think I like the previous update before. So it's just evolving just within the chats. It's evolving within software that companies use. And it's actually been in software, like say, for example, CRM, like a CRM system. There's been AI embedded into CRM for a long time, but now it's just people are really discovering like, oh, all right, this is what it can do. And of course, they update that to keep up with what's happening on this AI landscape. So it's already in, our a lot of the software that we use.
Yeah.
How else is it evolving? It's evolving in ways that we can't even comprehend. Now they're talking about general, no, AGI, artificial general intelligence.
Mm.
So right now, the AI that we know and understand, it still needs us, right? Especially when it comes to like making the decisions and, connecting, different systems. But this artificial general intelligence, it's going to be like it can just it's autonomous. It's not going to require any human in the loop. And it's going to be able to communicate with other systems and just do everything in the back end and make the decisions because it's going to have that knowledge and that ability to do so. So that is I can't even say it's coming, like it's here already. So it's evolved really, really fast. Uh, yeah, sorry, go ahead.
So do you think that means that the pilot programs like ChatGPT are going to be archived? They're going to serve their purpose. We're now moving into the next phase.
I haven't seen anything that indicates that. I think they'll still be there. I just think that they'll evolve even more.
Okay.
And then that depends. Like, so ChatGPT, OpenAI, I'm not really sure what's going to happen with that. If you've seen in the news most recently a few weeks ago where, OpenAI, they lost a lot of subscribers. They had over what was it? I did a post on this, but it was over like 1 million people uninstalled ChatGPT because of the deal that OpenAI made with the US government.
Mm.
With the US government wanted Anthropic, which owns Claude, to use the tool for mass surveillance of accounts. Well, it said like the American people, but anyone signed up on the account. And they basically wanted them to drop their guardrails, which make the platform safe and ethical.
Mhm.
And Claude said no. So then the US government said, okay, well, now we're going to do like a 6 month offboarding of Claude. And we're going to go to Open AI and, Sam Altman, he apparently agreed to this, whatever the terms were. And that upset a lot of people because people do care about, the tools that they're using being ethical and they care about their information being kept safe. So I don't, so the whole point to that was I'm not sure how well OpenAI is going to evolve, but I've already seen Claude evolving. Like now they have Claude Cowork.
Yeah.
And I haven't even had a chance to use it because I'm still trying to learn Claude myself because I've been mostly ChatGPT and now I've been doing a lot of work with Claude and Claude Code because I love doing the coding. And I'm not even a coder, but you don't even have to be a coder to do Claude Code. That's how easy this stuff is.
That's what I've
So,
heard. Yeah, that's what I've
yeah.
heard. But you have to be willing to let it go. You've got to say, sure, go ahead and go diving through all of my data, get to know me, and,
Yeah.
and then let's do some work together. And that the idea of a coworker, an artificial intelligent coworker, is something that I think is fascinating. I think
Yeah.
it's going to be game changing, but it's going to require a lot of trust. And
True.
we mentioned a key word earlier. We talked about governance.
Yeah.
And I think governance both as a guardrail and a scaling tool. Like how should investors think about governance as a competitive advantage and not just a compliance?
Well, I would say as a competitive advantage, it's like you want to think of governance as your brakes. So strategy is like your gas, governance is your brakes. So it's going to slow you down so you can stop and really like do your research, do your due diligence, make sure you're set up right, make sure you're compliant, make sure you have mandated literacy training, like if you have a team. So it's gonna help you to slow down, which gives you that competitive advantage because you're probably gonna pick up on a lot more things that your competitors weren't or won't pick up on. Plus, you're not going to make as many mistakes. And then it's also governance is it's gonna keep you safe and it's gonna stop you from crashing and burning. So yeah.
I see the governance also in the eyes of our investors, the passive investors that trust us, or the LPs that are trusting the GPs that are wanting to make sure that the person that they're trusting their time and money with is actually doing things ethically, doing things responsibly. They've done their research properly. It's not fictitious data. How to instill that in the mind of those that we need to partner with to succeed. So I think governance is going to be a big part of what we need to consider.
Hmm.
And I guess where am I going with this? So if I look back at what everybody's done in with ChatGPT for the last few years, it's kind of running amok. Like everybody's doing
Yeah.
their own thing and trying to say, "Oh, look what this can do, what that can do, etc." But somehow I think there needs to be something that aligns the outcomes with reality to give confidence to the investors. I don't know. What are your thoughts on how that's got to evolve?
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you're an investor and you've got like you're working with a team of people or partnering with people, you have to set a stand like you should have a policy, right?
Yep.
A policy of how you're going to use AI, what AI tools that you're going to be using, because you said like it's like everything's just kind of run amok, right? So if one person's using chat, one person's using Claude, another person's using like any like Perplexity or any other tool, right? Maybe just having a policy establishing what AI tools you're using, how you're using it, what information should be going in there, what shouldn't be going in there, and then even establishing or building that brand voice because you want to make sure that if you're say creating content, for example, that if you're creating content and your partner's creating content and say if someone contracting for you creating some type of content or information or a contract or whatever, does it sound like your brand voice, like your company? So those are kind of the things like you got to make sure that you're on the same page. And that's why it's so important to have a policy that basically sets out guidelines
Yeah.
for how it's being used.
I think that you're right. The point about it being your voice has got to, I think, somehow come into the point where I'm happy with a cowork chat or Claude coworker doing all this work for me. But at the end of the day, I get to read it before I give it to you. I get
Yeah.
to make sure that it's accurate to my mind. And I think that,
Yeah.
as long as this evolves, there's got to be some kind of human being involved. Otherwise, we're in trouble. It'll be Terminator. I don't want to go there.
Yeah. Human in the loop. You got to have check and verify everything. That's a big part of governance.
um, when we think about the return on investment for artificial intelligence, I think it's almost infinite as we look at it. But there are different aspects that we need to consider. I'm sure that you've given us a lot of thought as well. But if you look at the way it's changed your life since you started and what you anticipate with now all of this new technology that's about to open the doors even wider, how do you measure that? I mean, you're subscribed to a lot of different platforms. There's
Yeah.
a cost going in, uh,
Yeah.
but tell me your thoughts on this, and especially not just for for a one person business, but for say a 10 or 20 person business. How does this change their lives?
Well, one thing I was gonna say it's hard to measure, but maybe not. Depends on the business. Is the amount of time that you get back because AI it acts as like your brainstorming partner. It helps you to see different perspectives that you may not have considered. So when you just work with it as a partner, like you can I don't know, like it just saves so much time. Or if you're putting together a presentation, it helped. Like I put a lot of work into my presentations. That's because I do so much research. But if I had to do it the old way, it would probably take me twice as long. So I still feel that it saves me so much time. And then it just seems to give you access to so much more information because if you prompt it properly, you can go and pull up so much data that you never would have been able to find. So it just extends your reach, and then it just buys you back that time and just doing your work. So I think, I mean, however you want to measure that ROI, I guess you'd have to decide what your hourly rate would be or something and how many hours you've saved, but definitely it saves time.
Time is that one thing that's most important, right?
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
I hear exactly what you're saying. I think of it in terms of my business. I put um, ridiculous hours into this, as well as my full-time employment. So
Yeah.
it's really something that resonates with me. Is how do I become more efficient at what I'm doing with my time? But also, I think one of the things that I think is maybe missed in a lot of people's assessment is the capability. I can now do so much more with AI than I was ever thinking before.
Yeah.
So it's taken not only the platform I was what I was doing before, but it's also helped it grow into something that's really quite strategic and deliberate, and becoming something that's way beyond what I thought initially. But certainly now, I got the sky's the limit. Anyway,
Yeah.
yeah,
Actually, can I add to that?
please.
I really like that you said you can just do so much more because that made me think of, with when it comes to ROI,
Yeah.
you can create anything you want. So a CRM system, for example, like some of these CRM systems cost, depends on what level you're on, you could be paying a couple $100s a month. You can just create that and you can create it using natural language. It's called vibe coding. Like I just created this amazing app and I have a beta test group going, but before I get the group going, I have to have an IP lawyer review my contract. But it's a follow-up app for like networking. And so far people, like I've been showing it to people and they absolutely love it. Right. But I have to protect that because anyone else could just go in and vibe code it, right? So you can just create anything you want nowadays, and that saves you money. Like if you can create it, you just use your own and it saves you a lot of money.
Yeah.
It takes time though to create it though. That's the thing.
Well, you know what? I think it's amazing. I heard somebody else say the same thing. He had created his own CRM, but one of
Yeah.
the things that he did was he created a radio station. And I was like,
Awesome.
what?
Yeah.
So why not? Anything's
Yeah.
the limit. So there it is.
That's amazing.
But it's probably not on my list.
Yeah.
Just saying. Um, so let's talk about your strategy then. So walk me through your AI strategy at the business level, not just the tools you're using, but how you see this improving your outcomes. Like, where is it going? What are you up to, and what's your strategic path here?
So are you talking just business wise, like in general?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like like you're an AI strategist. You're marketing this as your business. Let's hear
Okay.
about what you're doing. Let's hear more about it.
Oh, okay. So what I'm doing, like I'm always out doing speaking engagements because I love telling everyone and anyone who will listen about this. So I do a lot of that. I actually spoke at the mayor's luncheon yesterday here in Whitby, and that went over really, really well. I've been connecting with larger organizations like the town of Whitby. I did some corporate training with them recently, and City of Toronto did some training with them as well. Yeah, my strategy is getting into those larger organizations just because I'm still seeing a real gap where they're having a difficult time adopting AI because they don't really know how. And it's more about winning people over, like getting the buy-in of like say the upper management, like this, like the senior leaders. So that's my strategy, like really reaching out and getting in there at that the decision maker level, if you want to, I guess that's the best way to put it. And then just working closely with, like even I would say the larger end of small business or medium business. Like right now, I'm in the middle of negotiating a pretty good sized contract with a company, and I'm basically going to be developing a whole program for them, and I'm really excited about it. I can't say too much about it because I had to sign an NDA. But yeah, so I don't know if that really answers the question of strategy, but that's my focus and that's what I'm doing.
Oh, it sounds good. I mean, and you brought back into mind this idea of governance and risk, and so my career path has been in aviation for my entire life,
Oh
and
yeah.
so it's highly regulated. We have government contracts that impose considerable regulations and security requirements, and so I envision the adoption of AI as something that they're very, very, very risk averse in embracing, right? Because
Yeah.
it's multiple different countries, multiple different aviation airworthiness authorities, multiple different militaries, and so if we take all of those security requirements together, is there one shoe that's going to fit all? And is it going to meet their needs? And where are we at with that? And how is that coming together? I don't know.
Yeah. Is that a question to
It's kind
me?
of a question. So
Yeah.
is there a system that seems to be meeting the right security requirements for big business to feel confident that they can move forward with AI? What do you see?
I would definitely say there isn't a one size fits all. It's going to be very specific to that company or that organization, because all the needs are different, right? The job, especially like the job descriptions could be different. And if you're talking about international, like different countries, for example, say you're dealing with companies from, in Europe, they actually have something that like laws that regulate AI in
Okay.
Europe. We don't in Canada. We don't have any regulation. That's why you got to be so careful. So it's very different here, and I would say the risk is higher. So currently, what we have or what's proposed is the Artificial Intelligence and Data Act, or data. I always say data, whichever. So it's called ADA, and that's proposed legislation. They started looking at that in 2019. And of course, with the pandemic, it kind of got pushed off. And then I guess when they started looking at it again and creating the standards of care, the whole thing with Trudeau happened. And so it's still in transit, right?
Yeah.
So currently, what we have is, say, for example, if you're found guilty of algorithmic bias. So that's basically your AI system discriminating against someone for whatever reason under like the Ontario, well, I say Ontario Human Rights Code, but anything that impacts like human rights.
Okay.
So, and this is all here in Ontario. You could be fined or charged for, by the Ontario Human Rights Commission for because we don't specifically have anything for AI yet.
Mm.
So right now, like they look at current legislation, but one of the things I actually talked about in the presentation yesterday is, the Artificial Intelligence and Data Act is coming in Ontario, but for like Canada, it we don't have anything that regulates us
We're
or
still
AI.
running amok.
Yeah, which is crazy. And that's why the risk is even higher.
Yeah.
You can't say, well, sorry, I didn't know the AI hallucinated and it's the AI's fault. Like that
Mm.
doesn't work. That's not going to fly, right?
All about be careful what decisions you allow the AI to make for you.
Yeah, you
How
can't
much
let it
you
make
trust
any
it.
decisions.
Yeah, yeah.
It can help with decision making.
Would make recommendations, I guess, is the way to see it, and then say
Yeah,
you can approve it or not as you wish.
yeah,
So much going on, so many interesting things. Let me ask you a question.
yeah.
If I removed AI from your business tomorrow, what would actually break, and what would that say about how integrated it is into everything you're doing, and how sustainable you are without it? How would that sit?
Well, that's a fun question. I like that. Okay, well, it's like, okay, if you were to remove AI completely, it's like, okay, well, what I talk about, because that's my business,
Yeah,
right?
the hard.
Um, if you were, I know, it'd be like, okay, well, maybe, I was just going to say, maybe I'll go back to being a police officer because I was a police officer for 25 years, but no, I'm not going back to that.
Going back.
What would I do? I mean, for it to be sustainable, well, say if you were to actually remove using AI from my business, I'm very resourceful. I would just Google everything as much as I could. Um, yeah, but it would definitely slow things down. But I don't know. I believe there's always a way. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know exactly. I don't want to find out.
No, no, I'd rather not. I don't want to go backwards either. I find that,
Yeah.
we always grow with these, we've absorbed uh, AI into our day to day now. So to lose
Yeah.
it would be a functional hit for sure, functionality and efficiency. Um,
Yeah, I think it's important to function to be able to function without it. But, because my business is specifically AI, it's like, well,
yeah, no, that wasn't intended to say you're out of business. Trust me, Judith. My last question for you.
yeah.
So, and I asked this question of everybody, and I like the way that the answers are all over the map. Why are you doing this? What is your why? What is the goal you're trying to achieve? How are you going to know when you reach success? Tell me about this vision you've got.
I am doing this because I really believe in it. I'm super passionate. I'm very, very passionate about businesses and seeing people succeed. And I believe that AI is the way. It's just like when the internet came about. People were against it and they were afraid of it, and they're like, "Oh, there's no way that it's going to stick around." Well, guess what? It's still here. Look how we do business. And I believe that AI is the way forward, and it's my mission to educate people and bring them along with me because we're only gonna we're only gonna succeed together. Like it doesn't make sense if we don't want anyone left behind because we've got an economy to run here, so everyone's got to get up to speed. So it's my mission to make sure that happens.
Give them a kickstart.
Yeah.
Judith, if people want to reach you, how should they go about doing that?
They can reach me. Well, I'm on Instagram, Judith Tait One. I'm on LinkedIn as Judith Tait. I'm on Facebook as Judith Tait. And then there's my email address, which is info@tateaitech.com.
That's my favorite.
Yeah, Tate AI Tech, and Tech TEC stands for Training, Education, and Consulting. And then, yeah, my website, tateaitech.com. So there's so many different ways to reach me.
Judith, it's been a real pleasure. Now, before everybody signs off, I want to make sure that if you enjoyed this, you hit the like button. If you aren't subscribed, you resolve that right away. And if you think somebody else would like it, please feel free to share. More than happy. Judith, such a pleasure having you on the show. Thank you very much. Any last words for anybody?
No, just I just want to say thank you so much for having me, Steve. This was a wonderful conversation, and I hope this is of value to your viewers.
Oh, I'm sure it's going to be thrilling. Everybody needs to figure this stuff out, and you're helping pave the way. Thank you again.
Thanks.